there was this element of, like, for lack of a better word, sales that I wasn't prepared for. And I think, yeah, that really ended up taking a toll on me.
You've got, on the one hand, a bereaved family telling you something, and of course you've got to respect their wishes. And on the other hand, you've got a newspaper that wants news.
I don't know any reporter who wants to talk to a family member when they've lost a loved one in a traumatic way.
Those kind of situations can certainly trigger moral injury.
You need to be tough. You need to, you can't show your emotion.
My generation of journalists, including photojournalists, was really conditioned to try to be objective, to observe and report.
I remember a young woman being absolutely petrified because there was the media there and there were just like all eyes on her.
Microphones and cameras shoved in my face.
I had fear for my safety. I had fear for the safety of my children.
I was probably like 21 at the time.
And the family let me in.
We sat down with the father, who just was extremely vulnerable.
Would you consider the guilt that comes from those door knocks to be misplaced?
I'm a trauma surgeon, and in a city like Philadelphia, that means that I'm an expert on gun violence.
To me, there's no reason why the picture of a mutilated body would make a difference.
This is a public health problem that's so solvable, and this is a reason why it's not being solved.
What if that is your loved one's body that is just all over the news?
They said they felt dehumanized by those reports.
And what if it comes out before you even know? What if that's how you find out?
The reports presented them like they were nobody, that they were just a statistic.
Witnesses at the scene said he was found laying against a wall and blood coming from him. What good is that serving?
She consented thinking it was a really good idea, and then she was devastated.
It's very difficult to walk around carrying guilt and shame and disgust and anger.
Am I a good journalist because I convinced that grieving mother on the courthouse steps to talk? Or am I a good journalist because I don't try?
It's great to tell stories, but just make sure you're telling the real story.
It really impeded her ability to move forward in her life.
The network was showing the perpetrator's manifesto.
We're talking years. We're not talking months.
I remember my senior producer dropping the story on my desk and saying, just call this man and see if he'll talk.
My camera was protecting me and shielding me from what my heart and my head shouldn't or couldn't process.
As I was preparing for this, I came across one of your articles.
I know firsthand that it's very hard work.
When I give workshops now to journalists, one of the things I tell them is to be mindful of bringing cases back into the news. And that's exactly what you're describing. And that's exactly what I did.
I want journalists out there to know, to begin with, I admire them. I want them to know that we care about them.
I naively just saw it as an interesting court case.
It's not the event itself that's traumatic, right? Like, it's whether it overwhelms our capacity to cope.
Life challenges, life traumas, grief, loss.
We are human. We're human.
It would have been around 6.5 hours of sadness, trauma, anger, and grief.
Murders to traffic accidents to sexual abuse.
My heart was heavy. My mind was full.
I can't get out of bed. I feel like I'm dying. I'm in a state of panic.
I would, be in these breaking news situations, and then I would go home and not be able to turn off and look for whatever could distract me or numb me or take me down.
Crying so much, it's dropping on my notepad and smearing my words.
We're racehorses until we're not, until we crash.
Get a therapist. I'm just going to keep repeating that until the cows come home.
My therapist says I'm not good with emotions.
What would it mean to report about gun violence as a public health problem? I think it would center on the idea that it's not inevitable, that it's preventable.
Journalists have such an opportunity to help people with their post-traumatic growth.
Not just visuals of the crime scene, but visuals of a community event.
Trauma-informed journalism is acknowledging that there's someone there that is going to be impacted.
It has to be systemic, right? It has to come from the top.
Even if it means pushing the envelope and the rules of journalism.
With a trauma-informed lens, I would have not pulled out the microphone. I would have quickly realized, oh, you were a victim Are you okay with talking to me?
We're learning, we're growing.
Maybe I would choose not to put them on the news 15 minutes later.
We provide communication services to survivors and families that are going through high-profile traumas.
We called it our Gun Violence Prevention Reporting Certification Workshop.
I've taken on an added job title. I call it the Well-Being Champion.
WHYY Public Radio here in Philadelphia hired 2 gun violence prevention reporters last year.
It costs me nothing to be kind to these poor people whose lives have been exposed forever. Forever.
Have you ever told a room full of photographers to stop taking pictures of people? What? Controversy is a very nice way to put it.